Well,
She got locked up.
yeah.
Rosa Parks and other black leaders got her out, got her a lawyer. When they got her a lawyer, and the black leaders sat back and they were discussing about would she be sufficient to be able to be in the public's eye as an icon of what becoming of black history. And they said that she was too young, too dark, and wasn't of the middle class. So this is where Rosa Parks came in. Rosa Parks said, I'm gonna sit still. So she sat still in the back. She got arrested. She went through the same thing that Claudia Colvin went through. And this is how Rosa Parks came about as far as the history being in the back of that bus. Everything, and I mean just about everything, is touched or invented by an African American. If anyone's ever been to Carvey's Car Wash or the car wash down the street, think of a guy by the name of Richard Spikes. Richard Spikes was the one who invented the automatic car wash. Anyone who's ever polished their shoes with an automatic shoe polisher was also invented by Richard Spikes. Anyone who's ever touched a blinker signal on their car, this was also invented by Richard Spikes, which was a very innovative black man. Everything, when I say everything that was touched, there was a man by the name of Sam Phillips. He said, if I could find a white man who could sing and dance like a black man, I could make $1 million. Who was that? Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was the icon that was invented to kind of minimize the showcase of the black man. So the shaking of the leg and the hums and all this stuff that he did in those days, this also came from the black man. Everything. Back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I think people have heard about Black Wall Street. 600 thriving businesses. There was 12 airplanes in the whole city, and 6 of them was owned by a black man. One doctor was making $500 a day in I want to say 1910, I can't get it right, but I think it was 1910, $500 a day. And some of us today gonna make $500 a week. Amen, Brother Jackson. Well, if anybody knows, the European got upset because they was exporting, importing all types of things. Cotton was one of the bigger things. They had churches and did something that was stereotypical on my end. I didn't even know that us as blacks, they also had pawn shops. I always thought that was the Jewish man that had invented the pawn shop, but we also had the pawn shops. The theater, all of this was in Black Wall Street, and there was something called economic jealousy. And so on the outskirts of the towns, the Europeans were getting upset. About them getting upset, what happened was they came in and they burned the place down. Because they were jealous of us being thriving. People was coming from New York to come to the South to make way, or a better way for themselves, which was pretty much unheard of. Even ISIS, I know people hear about ISIS on television. This was a revolution that's actually supposed to be in for us as black people or black men. It was a lady by the name of Dr. Frances Cress Weston. She came up with the ISIS Papers. And this is a book that I recommend everybody to read. And there's a quote that says, by equating black manhood with not macho nor money, but with warriors and soldiers against the system of white supremacy. This is something that should have came about years ago, because this is where we end up making our biggest mistakes of not fighting back. Not saying that war is the right thing to do, but they sent us, they drafted us over to World War I and World War II to fight for the Jewish man, but we can't come over here and fight for ourselves. This was one of the biggest problems that they had back in those days. But And that's one of the reasons why they burnt up Oklahoma, because they were sending them over there to fight, and they was coming back broke. And these African Americans or African Americans was thriving. So like I say, everything was touched by African American. As a matter of fact, even the name African American, we were the first hybrids. So everything was touched by the African American.